again. So recently, and by recently I mean this year, I've encountered a few books that I could not force myself to read. And by force myself to read, I mean force myself to finish. I did buy them and attempt to read them, but I couldn't do it. So we're gonna discuss that. Each book is gonna be its own video. We're gonna discuss it. So we're starting with Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. Girl, I'm gonna tell you right now, this review will have spoilers. Just know up front, I couldn't finish it. It was that bad. I couldn't finish it. I couldn't get halfway through it. And like, I know some people feel like they need to finish it to get a full like review of the book because then you've read it all, you fully understand it all. No. I looked up a summary. We're gonna discuss what the summary says about all the stuff that I didn't read. I'm not one of those people who are gonna force myself to finish things. I'm not. There are good books out there that I could be reading instead of spending time on something that I don't like. As usual, this is all my opinions. I'm a very opinionated person. You don't have to agree with me. That's fine. But long and short of it, I would not recommend this book. Spoilers ahead. So, let me start from the beginning. This is one of those $5 books that if you go to Barnes & Noble and you like go to the cafe area, they will have a little book on display or like 2 books on display, something like that, and they'll be like $5 with a purchase of like a drink or something. And this was the first one that I purchased. I've purchased 2 and they have taught me to learn my lesson to not do that. But this was the first one I purchased. I saw the front cover, it looks cool. It's not a very big book. I love me a horror anything. And then I read the back of the book and I was intrigued. And I was only out $5. So I was like, why not? So let me read the back of the book, give you the gist of it. A high-in-era mansion stands abandoned, its foundations resting on the bones of a bride and its walls packed with the remains of the girl sacrificed to keep her company. It's the perfect venue for a group of thrill-seeking friends brought back together to celebrate a wedding. A night of food, drinks, and games quickly spirals into a nightmare as secrets get dragged out and relationships are tested. But the house has secrets too. Lurking in the shadows is the ghost bride with a black smile and a hungry heart, and she gets lonely down there in the dirt. Masterfully turning the classic haunted house story on its head, Nothing But Blackened Teeth is a sharp and devastating exploration of grief, the parasitic nature of relationships, and the consequences of our actions. So, that was interesting, right? That sounds cool. Like, you know, turning haunted houses on its head. Like, okay, fuck me up, yes. I'm gonna tell you right now that Cassandra Khaw didn't write the back of that. And you'll be able to see soon why. Someone else wrote that. Someone else made it sound much better than it is. So let me tell you, I got about 15 pages in. And the reason I can only get that far was the writing. The story was also weird. I will say that, but I was willing to give the story a chance if the writing wasn't what it is. It's trying so hard. It's bought a thesaurus and need to use all the words. It's so many thesaurus words that you don't know what she's trying to say sometimes. And I couldn't, and I'm not going to. So I'm gonna tell you what I got out of it, like the gist. I'm gonna read you some excerpts from it to further explain my point of view. And then I'm gonna look up some Goodreads reviews and see if I can find an actual summary of like the plot, because I'm pretty sure I found, when I made a TikTok about this book, I was pretty sure I found like a short summary, but I couldn't find like a, you know, Wikipedia what happens thing. But okay, so let's start with the first page, because that's really where the fun begins. How the fuck are you this rich? Pause. I don't like when books cuss in the first sentence, because I feel like it's not done well most of the time. I feel like cuss words should be used appropriately so that they make sense for a character or for a narrator, if that's who's talking. I feel like if you put a cuss word in your very first sentence, then you're trying to act like, you're trying to be like, this is an adult book. This is an adult book, we say fuck. You know, ooh, no kids. Like, I feel like if you cuss in the first sentence, you're trying too hard, and that's a red flag for me, because there's very few books that I've read with like cuss words in the first sentence where it made sense. Because here's the other thing, you haven't established anything yet. You don't have a character voice established, you don't have a narrator voice established. And there's a certain type of character or narrator who needs to back up saying cuss words in every fucking sentence, you know? So I don't like that. Let's continue. How the fuck are you this rich? I took in the old vestibule, the wood ceiling that domed our heads. Time etched itself into the shape and stretch of the high-end mansion, is present, apparent in even the texture of the crumbling dark. What is crumbling dark? What is dark as like a noun? You're starting to understand. Now, continuing. It felt profane to see the place like this, without curators to chaperone us, no one to say do not touch and be careful, and this was old before the word for such thing existed. Now, I'm not a historian, but I promise you a word existed when they built this place. Like, and because you can't be building this sort of like mansion-ass house during a time where there wasn't enough language for the word old to exist. I'm being very nitpicky, but like, this is how the whole thing is. That irks me. That Philip could finance its desecration, lock, stock, no question, and do so without self-reproach was symptomatic of our fundamental differences. Just say you're broke and he's rich. Like, do you understand what I mean by I'm having to read this and enunciate very particularly because it doesn't flow, because it reads like a textbook. Like, that's what greeted me on the first page, and I didn't appreciate it. And so that's why I only got about 15 pages in. I found the other thing I wanted to read. A door thumped shut, and we both jumped, turned like cogs. All my grief riled somewhere else. I swear, if that moment wasn't magic, wasn't everything that was right and good, nothing else in the world is allowed to call itself beautiful. It was perfect. A Hallmark commercial in freeze frame. Autumn leaves swirling against a backdrop of beech and white cedar. God rays dripping between the bogs. God rays, really? Between the bogs. Faiz, F-A-I-Z. That's one of the characters' names. I have no idea how to pronounce that. And Talia emerging, arms looped together, eyes only for each other, smiling so hard that all I wanted to do was promise him that forever will always, eternally, unchangeably be just like this. What? was on pages 11 and 12. And I only got a little bit further than that because I couldn't take it. Let's go see if I can find an actual summary. Well, let me tell you what I got out of this before I give you an actual summary. So, the gist of what I can tell is that there's 5 people. One of them is rich. 2 of them are getting married, not the rich one. And the rich one decided as a wedding present to get them a night stay in this haunted mansion because they like haunted things. And this is like the night before their wedding, apparently. Don't know why this was the choice, but anyway, the 5 of them show up. There's some tea between the narrator and the bride-to-be. Like, she doesn't like the narrator and does not want her with her husband, like in the same vicinity or anything. Definitely beef. Why are you going to the wedding? Weird. I don't like this dynamic as someone who was a bride recently, because I just got married last year. Like, don't fuck with bride shit. Like, don't mess with my man. So I didn't like that. But anyway, there's a weird dynamic between all of them, and then it's like would have been, could have been, should have been thing between the narrator and one of the guys. And basically the story of the house is that a bride got buried underneath it, and so she takes people who come into the house to live in it with her forever because she's lonely. Valid. I would be lonely too. But that's the vibe. So that's as far as I got, and I was like, I hope they all died, but I don't think they did. And I was right, they didn't all die. So this is your spoiler warning. I'm about to look up reviews and summaries. So skip if you actually care and want to read. Open. So first I'm going to read my Goodreads review. I'm Cassidy Lewis on Goodreads if you want to find me or care to keep up with me. So I gave it a 1 star because couldn't finish it. I put awful, I couldn't finish it, couldn't even get halfway. The premise could be good, but the writing is hideous. The author really thought that including the entire English thesaurus was the best way to describe something creepy. This isn't an AP English final. I shouldn't be tired on page 1. I stand by what I say. This reads like a textbook. So, for argument's sake, that was my opinion. Let's see what other people are saying. Overall, on Goodreads, it has a 2.69 out of 5 stars. It has 7,198 reviews as of right now. Going through the first few reviews that pop up, we got a 3 star. I think this is the first horror novel I've ever read where characters say fuck an appropriate amount. I think it's an inappropriate amount, but I do get what you're saying. People in horror movies should cuss more. That is valid. How long is this next one? Lord. I like Goodreads, but people be writing novels in the review, which I know is helpful, but like, I don't want to read a novel about the novel. Okay, it looks like the majority are 3 stars. 1 star, these characters drove me absolutely insane. They ruined the entire experience for me, and this book premise had so much potential. I'm big sad that I didn't like this one. Same. It had potential, and then it tanked. There are a lot of 1-star reviews on here. This one review is quote tweeting. This review by Beyond Birthday on Goodreads is a 1 star, and she has quotes to back up her being like, what the fuck is this? And sister, I feel you. Where are you at? Like, I feel you, girly pop. So anyway, I'm not gonna read through a bunch of those, but the Goodreads average is 2.69. Most, about 3 stars is the most common, but there is a good amount of 1 stars, which is never what you want to see if you are looking to read a book. I guess unless it's like a super controversial book, then it might be intriguing. Okay. Let me see if I can find a plot summary to actually tell you guys what happens in the book, if anyone's interested. Not one of the questions coming up being, how does Nothing But Blackened Teeth end? Okay, this is an article on Book Page. It is from October 2021. It's a review by Ralph Harris. Cassandra Claw's core novel, Nothing But Blackened Teeth, brings readers to Japan where a wedding of questionable taste is about to unfold. Nadia, who is engaged to FaIz, F-A-I-Z, I don't know, has decided she wants to be married in a haunted house. The couple's mega-rich friend Philip secures a venue for them, a high and narrow mansion in a forest, but built on the bones of a bride-to-be and other girls killed to appease her loneliness. I thought they were just staying here overnight. This book is very confusing. The author roots the novella in the perspective of Kat, who along with Philip and the group's resident pot stirrer, Lynn, is one of the wedding's 3 guests. Kat has recently emerged from 6 months of self-imposed isolation to treat her depression, the exact details of which are purposely vague. Kat thinks this retreat has done her some good. Why is a haunted house gonna help you with depression? Really? Okay, Kat thinks this retreat has done her some good, but Jesus, don't say it like that's a character in the book. But the author does not shy from portraying Kat's ongoing experience with depression in the form of long spiraling trains of thought. Okay. These mental soliloquies color the entire story with Kat's internal angst. Her barely controlled depressive energy bleeds through every page, punctured by curt dialogue among the small fellowship of supposed friends. Supposed is the key adjective, as each member of the 5-person crew has some sort of sordid history with another member or two. Their friendships, especially seem... Oh my God, tell me what happens! Don't just tell me that Kat's depressed. Jesus. This horror story incorporates Japanese mythology in colorful, excruciating detail. This is what's annoying about trying to read articles. They aren't summaries. But there's no summary. There isn't like a Wikipedia or anything. Because no one's read it. Ooh. Bookends? That's a thing? It just says, how did that end? How did that book end? Apparently the author uses a lot of Japanese words for monsters but never explains them. Which would irritate me because I don't know anything about Japanese. Here we go. Okay. Talia is captured by the dead bride, and others have to draw on their knowledge of horror tropes to get her back. FaIz finds a book explaining the required sacrifices, though no one else can see the words. FaIz accidentally stabs Philip, and Kat realizes there's no way to get him health in time and ruthlessly sacrifices his fresh organs. Talia is returned to them, and everyone else makes it alive. You killed the man who brought you. See, that's funny. I would have enjoyed that. That's so stupid. I love that as a paragraph. I love killing accidentally. How you accidentally stabs the guy who brought you here. Realize there's no way to help him, so you're just like, you don't need the Morgans no more. You did. Fuck you, Philip. I need to have this shit saved. Nothing but bookends. I didn't know this existed. Girly Pop, thank you so much. That's how it ends. They kill the dude who fought there. So overall, I stand by my statement. 1 star. Couldn't hate it more. Couldn't. Just, it's so bad. It's very, very bad. At least I'm only out $5, but I wouldn't recommend this at all, ever. And yeah, that's where we're at. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. How do you feel? Did you like the book? Did you read the book? Let me know. Am I totally wrong? Tell me about it. Anyway, see you guys next time. Bye.